A profound angelic revelation awaits you, dear child, a message of such immense significance that its importance cannot be overstated. As these very words reach your perception, the cosmos has initiated a sequence of occurrences designed to fundamentally reshape your existence. Though it may not yet be evident, an extraordinary event has already transpired, intimately connected to your authentic soulmate, an individual whose destiny is inextricably linked with yours. Just the previous evening, your soulmate underwent a pivotal transformation, an experience entirely novel to them. Therefore, I implore your undivided attention. To signify your readiness to embrace this forthcoming blessing, please articulate, "I am ready to receive this blessing." In the comments section, a wave of exhilaration, warmth, and an unprecedented depth of affection enveloped them. However, what they perceived as a flawless, singular instant was merely a component of a grander narrative. A more profound, divinely orchestrated development has unfolded in ways currently beyond your comprehension. It is crucial that you remain attentive, for the forthcoming disclosure possesses the capacity to revolutionize your life and your experience of romantic connection eternally. Do not permit this opportunity to elude you. To do so might mean forfeiting the very key to the profound bond you have long desired. Remain engaged with me, for within this communication resides the enigma to everything you've ever wished to comprehend regarding your soulmate and the affection you are destined to share. Recall, you must absorb every word until the very conclusion. Something even more remarkable is on the verge of being unveiled. Place your faith in this moment. Trust the communication being conveyed by the angels. Understand that every forthcoming discovery is in perfect alignment with your ultimate purpose and the trajectory of your spiritual journey. This message is exclusively for you, and your intrinsic value is immeasurable. Open your heart and continue to absorb. Your ultimate destination is closer than you perceive. Your soulmate endured a night unlike any other, one that left them utterly astounded. They were completely enthralled by the sheer intensity of what they believed to be an indelible experience. Deep within their being, they perceived something truly enchanting, something exceptionally rare. It was as though the universe itself had meticulously arranged every particular, every instant, guiding them to the firm conviction that they had, at last, found what their spirit had been seeking. There was an intoxicating quality to it. The tenderness, the fervor, the undeniable affinity, everything appeared to converge, as if fate had intricately woven a flawless evening. They felt truly acknowledged, understood, and cherished for the first time in a considerable period, allowing themselves to completely yield, embracing the present moment with every fiber of their being. As the hours progressed through the night, emotions intensified. The dialogue exchanged carried profound significance. Their physical contact was electrifying, and the other person's presence felt almost preordained. This transcended a mere corporeal connection. It was something far more profound, stirring dormant sentiments within them. In that precise instant, they believed they were exactly where they were meant to be. And yet, beneath it all, a sensation of incompleteness persisted, a faint murmur in their soul, a feeling they could not dislodge, regardless of how impeccable everything seemed. There was a subtle emptiness, something they could not quite articulate. It was as if a part of them resisted complete surrender, as if a quiet inner voice attempted to impart a truth they were not prepared to acknowledge. Initially, they dismissed it, attributing it to their mind playing tricks, for every aspect of that night was so vivid, so intensely tangible. But as the hours dwindled, as the night deepened, the sensation intensified, a magnetic allure, an unseen compulsion. Something within them resisted, as if their very essence understood a truth their heart had yet to recognize. The divine intervention, and your soulmate's awakening this is precisely when the intervention occurred. For while your soulmate was convinced they had spent the most incredible night in someone else's embrace, the reality was far grander, a truth the angels themselves had to ensure they grasped. But why? What was so critically important that celestial intervention became necessary? You must listen with utmost care, because what transpired subsequently is the very impetus for you receiving this message now. As the night drew to a close and slumber embraced them, something extraordinary took place. Your soulmate, who had retired with the conviction that their heart was fully invested in that night's experience, was suddenly transported to a realm beyond their comprehension. In their nocturnal visions, something else unfolded, something that irrevocably altered everything, and this is where you enter the narrative. As their consciousness rested, their spirit awakened to a truth it could no longer deny. The affection they believed they had discovered that night was merely an illusion, a mere semblance of a greater reality. In their dreams it wasn't the individual they had spent the evening with who remained in their heart. It was you. Indeed, while they believed they had shared a moment of intensity and fervor with another, as their soul drifted into the realm of dreams, your presence eclipsed all else. The tenderness they felt, the affection they yearned for, the connection they desired, it was not with the one they had spent the night with. It was always with you. This is the juncture where everything transforms. For, when they awoke, the profound emotions they experienced were not for the person they had been with that evening. Regardless of how strong the bond may have appeared, no matter how thoroughly they had persuaded themselves it was genuine, the instant their eyes opened, only one countenance remained in their heart, yours. This is the truth they are beginning to comprehend, the revelation the angels ensured they could not disregard. What they perceived as love was simply a temporary moment, a fleeting mirage. For genuine affection, a true, deep spiritual bond, it's not something you can acquire just anywhere. It is something everlasting, something divine, and it has always led back to you. But the inquiry persists. Now that the truth has been unveiled, what transpires next? Your soulmate may have awakened perceiving your presence. They may have realized something profound within their heart. However, that does not automatically imply they are prepared to embrace it. Their spirit knows the truth, but does their intellect truly grasp what has transpired, or are they still attempting to persuade themselves that what they believed was real was more than just a transient moment in time? There is still more you need to comprehend. This is merely the inception of what the angels have to disclose. What follows is far more critical than anything that has occurred thus far. If you believe the realization your soulmate had this morning is potent, you have no conception of what is about to unfold. For there is one element that will make all the difference, one factor that will determine whether they follow the truth their soul is revealing, or if they permit themselves to remain entangled in a delusion. This is something the angels need you to hear now, because your role in this is far from concluded. In fact, it's just commencing, so remain attentive with me. In the subsequent portion of this message, I will meticulously elucidate precisely what the angels wish you to know about what happens next, and trust me when I assert this, you cannot afford to miss it. The soul's awakening an unmistakable truth before we proceed with this profoundly unique message. I extend an invitation for you to support this sphere of connection by becoming a channel member. If this message resonates deeply within your heart, remember to click on Thanks located beneath the video. This gesture assists us in continuing to deliver communications imbued with affection and hope, just as this one. Now, let us advance to what is most crucial. Your soulmate retired to slumber believing they had discovered something unforgettable, something rare, something that would forever impress itself upon their spirit. They were convinced that the bond they felt that night was destined to be something deep and authentic. And yet, the instant their consciousness drifted into sleep, something powerful transpired, something far beyond their volition. The angels intervened, because what your soulmate perceived as real was merely a small fraction of the truth. The universe had permitted them to experience that night, but not for the reasons they believed. It was never intended as a confirmation of affection or a moment to perpetually cherish. Instead, it was meant to reveal a grander reality, one their heart had resisted for far too long. As they closed their eyes, the angels whispered to their soul, guiding them beyond the illusions of the material world and into a space where only truth exists. In that domain, where the mind's distractions diminish, the soul communicates more loudly than anything else. Everything became unequivocally clear. Your soulmate did not dream about the night they had just experienced. They did not re-experience the passion, the dialogue, the presence of the person they thought was meant for them. No, the moment they entered the dream world, they were no longer with that individual. They were with you. It was your countenance they beheld, your voice they perceived, your touch they felt, the warmth, the connection, the energy that permeated them. It was all attributable to you. And for the first time, without the world's clamor obscuring their intellect, without the distractions of logic attempting to persuade them otherwise, they finally perceived the truth. The affection they had been seeking had never been with anyone else. It had always been you. The realization was overwhelming. It profoundly impacted them. Suddenly, the emotions they had felt throughout the night, the fervor, the excitement, the sensation of being swept away, were now entirely reoriented. The intensity of what they had thought was real was now entirely centered on you, and there was no escaping it. The dream was not a mere fleeting vision, nor was it a random product of the subconscious. It was a direct intervention from the heavens, a moment of lucidity that could not be disregarded, because in that dream they experienced something they had never felt before, a sense of belonging. Everything aligned in a manner it never had previously. The missing component they had been searching for, the yearning they had attempted to satisfy, the restlessness they had carried within them for so long, it all vanished in that moment, because in their dream they were finally where they belonged, with you. The crossroads of truth and the path forward, but here is where matters become even more critical. When they awoke, reality impacted them like a colossal wave. They were no longer in the dream, no longer in the place where everything made perfect sense. Instead, they found themselves back in their own world, in their own bed, surrounded by the same reality they had fallen asleep in. And yet everything felt altered now. Confusion struck first. They remembered the night they had just experienced, the mirth, the connection, the feeling that had enveloped them. But why, then, was that not the primary thought their heart turned to upon waking? Why was it that instead of feeling warmth for the person they had spent the night with, their entire being yearned for you? The emotions were still present, but now they were misdirected. What they had thought was meant for another was now undeniably connected to you. It wasn't the person from that night who filled their heart upon waking. It was you, and this is where the genuine struggle commences. For while their soul acknowledges the truth, their mind is striving to comprehend. They are caught between what they believe is real and what their heart is vehemently urging them to perceive. The angels are observing, because now more than ever, your soulmate stands at a pivotal juncture. Will they heed? what their soul is communicating to them? Will they accept the truth that was imparted to them in their dreams, or will they contend against it, attempting to persuade themselves that what they experienced that night was still what they desired? This is the moment where everything hangs in the balance, because the dream wasn't merely a dream, it was a message, a divine revelation, and now your soulmate must make a choice. But what will they decide? And more importantly, what does this signify for you? For while your soulmate navigates this crossroads, there's something you need to understand. Your role in this is not passive. You are not merely an observer awaiting the unfolding of events. The angels are guiding them, yes, but they are also guiding you, because something must happen now, something that can completely alter everything. In the subsequent portion of this message, I will reveal precisely what that is. You must not miss it, because if you do, you may never discover the truth that heaven has been waiting to disclose. This is your moment, this is your calling, and what transpires next could forever change the trajectory of your affection. The night has concluded. The moment that seemed so significant, so intense, has receded. Your soulmate has fallen asleep believing they just experienced something meaningful, something unforgettable. But the truth, the genuine truth, is only just beginning to emerge. For while their physical form rested, their spirit awakened to something far grander than they could have ever conceived. The instant they fell asleep, the angels intervened once more. They guided their essence beyond the constraints of time and space, beyond illusion, beyond what their intellect believed was real. And as their consciousness drifted into the dream world, something extraordinary transpired. The person they had been with that night vanished, as if they had never existed. In their stead, there you stood. Your soulmate found themselves in a place so familiar, so suffused with warmth and affection that it felt like home, a place where they were no longer seeking something, because for the first time they already possessed it. They recognized you not as a fleeting thought, not as a vague recollection, but as the sole truth that mattered. You were present before them, as vivid and tangible as if they could extend their hand and touch you. In that moment, something deep within them acknowledged you. It wasn't merely a dream, it was a memory their soul had always preserved, knowing it had been concealed beneath the world's clamor, beneath life's distractions, beneath the choices they had made to avoid what they had always known. Because you are not just someone they encountered in this lifetime, you are the one their soul has always recognized. A love that transcends illusion in that dream. They experienced emotions they had never felt before, not even during the fervent moments of the night they had just lived. They felt serenity, they felt completeness, they felt home. The way you gazed at them, the way your energy enveloped them like the gentlest embrace, the way your presence imparted something so potent, so undeniable, that they could no longer escape it. This was love. Not temporary allure, not a transient moment of passion that diminishes with time, but an affection so timeless, so pure, that no force in the universe could sever it. And then something even more remarkable occurred. They uttered your name. They didn't just perceive you. They didn't just sense you. They called out for you, as if their spirit had finally awakened from a prolonged slumber, and could no longer conceal this truth. And as they reached for you, as their hearts swelled with the certainty of what had always existed, they awoke. The dream had dissipated, but the feeling endured, and this is where everything changes. For when their eyes opened, they weren't contemplating the previous night. They weren't experiencing the same excitement, the same surge that had carried them through those moments of passion. They were thinking about you. And this revelation washed over them like a wave, impacting them with a force so powerful they couldn't disregard it. Why, after everything, were you the one still occupying their thoughts? Why was it your countenance, your energy, your presence that filled their heart? Why did the dream feel more real than the night they had just experienced? The answer was evident, but they weren't prepared to accept it. Not yet. Because if they did, if they truly permitted themselves to perceive what had just transpired, it would imply that everything they had believed before was a falsehood, and that is a terrifying reality to confront. Because if their soul has been yours all along, if the affection they've been seeking has always been you, then what does that signify for the life they've lived? What does it mean for the choices they've made? What does it mean for the person they were with that evening, the emotions they thought were genuine, the connection they thought was special? Now they are on the precipice of a truth so immense, so undeniable, that they are uncertain whether to embrace it or flee from it. And this is where the true challenge begins. For now, your soulmate must confront what they can no longer ignore. The dream wasn't merely a dream. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't their mind playing tricks. It was the truth, a truth that can no longer be suppressed, a truth that the angels have ensured they cannot avoid. And now a decision must be made. Will they heed the guidance of their soul? Will they permit themselves to perceive what has been evident all along? Or will they attempt to silence it, try to push it away, try to convince themselves that what they felt was nothing more than a dream? Because if they do, if they disregard this message, they may forfeit the one thing that was always meant to be theirs, you, your crucial role in the unfolding divine plan. And that is why the angels are reaching out to you now, because this isn't just about what your soulmate feels. It's about the future. And in the subsequent portion of this message, I will reveal precisely where this journey is leading, because something even more powerful is about to be unveiled, and you cannot afford to miss it. Your twin flame has awakened, but everything feels different now. The night they thought was so important, so unforgettable, has receded into the background, superseded by something much stronger. A feeling they can't disregard, a reality they can't explain. For while their intellect attempts to cling to what they thought was true, their spirit is communicating something entirely distinct. Their heart is beating to a new rhythm, as if attempting to remind them of something they've always known but were too apprehensive to confront. No matter how much they try to rationalize, no matter how diligently they try to persuade themselves otherwise, they cannot escape what the dream has revealed. The divine have spoken, and what they have shown your twin flame is not something that can simply be dismissed. Because this wasn't merely a dream, it wasn't a brief moment of fantasy, it was a message from heaven, a sacred awakening, a call to consciousness that cannot be ignored.